This is Michael Wilson. We're looking at what is the significance of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Let's do it, my friends. The tree of knowledge of good and evil is one of two special trees that God planted in the Garden of Eden, along with the tree of life. According to the book of Genesis, God commanded Adam and Eve not to eat from this tree or they would surely die. However, they were deceived by the serpent, Satan, who told them that eating from the tree would make them like God, knowing God, good and evil. They disobeyed God and ate from the tree, and as a result, they became aware of their nakedness and sinfulness. They were banished from the garden and lost access to the tree of life, which would have given them eternal life. So the significance of this tree has been debated by scholars and theologians for centuries. Some have suggested it represents moral autonomy, free will, or human responsibility. Others have argued that it symbolizes divine sovereignty, divine testing, and divine prohibition. Some see it as a literal tree with literal fruit. Others have interpreted it as a metaphor or a symbol for something else. One possible way to understand the significance of the tree is to consider its contrast with the tree of life. The tree of life represents God's gift of eternal life to those who trust and obey him. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil represents human rebellion against God and desire to be like him apart from him. By eating from this tree, Adam and Eve rejected God's authority and his plan for their lives. They chose to define good and evil for themselves rather than relying on God's revelation. They became subject to death and corruption rather than enjoying life and blessing. Another possible way to understand the significance of the tree is to consider its connection with the Messiah Jesus. Jesus is also referred to as the second Adam, who came to undo the effects of the first Adam's sin. The Messiah obeyed God perfectly, and even to the point of death on a cross. He bore the curse of sin and death for us so that we could be forgiven and restored to God. And we have been. And he is also called the true vine, who gives us life and fruitfulness as we abide in him. So he's also called the wisdom of God, who reveals to us the truth about God and ourselves. By trusting in Jesus, we can have access to the tree of life again, and we can know good and evil according to God's standard, not our own. So the tree of knowledge of good and evil is a significant part of the biblical story of creation, fall, and redemption, ultimately in our Messiah Jesus. It shows us our need for God's grace and our dependence on his word. It also points us to Jesus, who is our only hope for salvation and restoration. And that's some mighty good news, brothers and sisters.